Okay, well, this will be a good podcast. Welcome to the show.
Are we rolling?
We're rolling.
Oh, okay, good. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're good.
So, what are we going to call this? The Great Dilemma? What were you saying before?
The damned if you do.
Damned if you don't.
Yeah. So we're basically going to cover, you have a house with a super low interest rate. You don't necessarily love that house, and you want to get into another place, whether it's you want an upgrade, you want a bigger garage, you want more living space, but you're stuck in your house because you're stuck in the low interest rate and mortgage payment dilemma where it's like, I'm only paying X amount here. If I sell, I'm going to be double or triple. What do I do? So Whitney, you're kind of in this spot right now, right?
Yep.
So how are you looking at it? Tell us your situation, and then we can help analyze it.
Talk clearly into the mic.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Look at the camera.
Yes, sir. So I bought my house in 2016. Rates were all super low. House prices were low. So I got my home for $298,000 in Ogden Valley, which is literally unheard of.
Damn.
What's your interest rate?
2.5.
Ooh.
Did you have to refi into that, or did you like?
I did refi.
Oh, okay.
But
So what's your mortgage payment?
1,700.
Nice.
Time
Daggum.
out. You had to have done like a 15-year mortgage or something if you're at 1,700.
It's
So we
property
also
taxes.
HELOC'd
Oh, okay.
part of it, and
Okay.
then property taxes are in it. So
Yeah.
we jumped right into a HELOC because we had to update a lot of it. It was previously a rental before we bought it, and so the floors were a mess. They had dogs like big dogs that were scratching up the floors, so we had to redo a lot inside, new carpet, new everything. So we did a small HELOC on that as well. So that's kind of where we were at. We wanted it updated enough that we could start to bring our kids up in it. You know, we had just had one kid at the time, and we're pregnant with our second. So it was kind of a house that we were able to grow into, but now we're kind of at max capacity. We're not having any more kids, but we still
Knock on wood.
Yeah.
we still are, ready to move up and on.
They're
So-
getting bigger, more rambunctious. Yeah.
So what do you think your house is worth now? Well, just rough numbers.
Well, probably like from a sales perspective, around 800 to 900.
Jeez.
And how much do you think you owe on it? Still?
I don't know.
We're getting personal now.
Yeah, that's the husband's.
Sorry.
That's the husband's.
So let's call it
200,000?
600,000 worth of equity. 6 to 9.
So yeah. So
We'll say 600,000 worth of equity.
okay.
Yep.
But let's say, do you have an idea all in what you'd be looking like building, land, everything into the new place?
Probably 1.5 million.
That would be my guess too.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was going to go at. So we'll just say you have roughly 600,000 worth of equity.
Put you about
But you have
900K
about-
mortgage.
Yeah, 8 to 900K mortgage, which I can speak to. Let me pull this up because this is where it gets really hard.
8 to 900K with taxes and escrow and everything. You're looking roughly
6,000.
Yeah, 58 to like $6,400 a month.
Yep. About six.
5,000 without taxes. That's at
6.8 is what they're
that's
floating
at
today.
6.5% interest. What should I do with that?
6.8. This morning was 6.75.
Okay, I'll go 6.8. No taxes and insurance in there. But if we were to add that in, you'd probably be closer to 6. So you're 5 to 6 grand a month,
Pocket
that.
change
Yeah.
for you, at least.
which is a really hard pill to swallow,
For
You go
sure.
from
right?
1,700.
Because you're going from 1,700 to 5 to 6. And I think this is the common scenario. I've had this conversation 4 times in the past 2 weeks, and that's one of the reasons I'm like, we need to shoot a podcast on this because this is an issue. Everybody like wants to move, but they're stuck and they can't move. And I think that's part of our housing issue right now too, is how many sellers want to move but won't move because they're like, well, I can suffer through our living situation because of our interest rate where we're at now.
See, and I think using stuck is the wrong word.
I think it is.
I don't think we're stuck. I think we're
I think a lot of
comfortable.
people feel stuck though.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people feel stuck though.
I think they feel
Comfortable's
stuck.
a good
I
word.
feel like they're comfortable and
You think they're comfortable?
they don't want to get out of comfortable.
Yeah.
Because I bet if we all look at our stuff, how much more, you get that 2.5% interest rate, your killer cheap house, right? Now you can have fun.
Go on
Like,
vacations.
you go on vacation.
You can buy,
I agree.
stuff
Buy
like
kids
that.
stuff. Your kids
Nobody
can do
wants to
dance
be
and all that.
housebroke.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
I
that's the sad reality. I think people are so comfortable that it's the fear of, man, everybody likes their happy place or comfort place, but nothing grows in your comfort place, right?
So how do you analyze this? What's your advice for people that are stuck here? And you're like, hey, the delta between these two, like in Whitney's case, you're like $4,000 a month more, which is 48 grand a year. It's a lot. It's a lot more.
I think the very first thing you look at is just the raw facts of it. Can we afford it?
Yeah.
Like, if we do this, can we just make ends meet? Period.
Yeah.
Can we eat, drive?
Yeah.
I think that's step one. After that, I think it comes right down to micro analysis of your family, right?
Yeah.
You guys want it because your kids are getting bigger. You want more space. You're trying to start that next chapter in your life. That makes sense. Then you have to sit down and have a conversation. Is $4,000 worth that next step? Or will that $4,000, we get to a new house, but we can't do anything because our house broke? So it's a real fine balance of, do you want your cake and eat it type of thing?
Yeah.
You can't have them both. So
I agree. So it's one, can you afford it, first of all? And I think you need to look at why you're wanting to move. Like, some people are doing it 90% of the time. It's like kids and like that time of your life. And I've been listening to this podcast. This was interesting. I think it was called Die Broke or something like that. This guy wrote a book. It's called Die Broke. And his whole theory is, as people, we should die broke. But everybody is so focused on like maximizing their money to the end of their life and saving and penny pitching and all this stuff. And he's like, we should have experiences all along the way that create this filling life. And he's like, you die multiple times in your life. The time that you were single died a long time ago, right? For us. Or the time that, like, a time that's like within the next 5 to 10 years dying for me, 10 years, is like Kadri moving out of the house.
you won't have littles anymore.
I won't have little. So when I look at that, I'm like, I have a 5, Kadri turns 10 this year. She's got 1 foot out the door. And so I have to say, what do I want the next 8 years to look like with Kadri? Because I won't ever get that time back again, right?
Sure.
And so for me, like, we were in a nice house in Eden, $1,600 a month mortgage payment, like, awesome. And it really fit all the bills. But I'm like, man, we want horses and we want more space and like all this. And so we ended up leaving that. And then I did exactly what you're doing, Whitney, where I went from $1,700 to our mortgage payment is $5,600 a month, which it's like, geez, like, yeah. I got the statement the other day.
The tax bill or the
No,
mortgage
just
statement?
the mortgage statement. And I just said it and kind of forget it. And it's been scary. It was very scary going into it. But I think the thermostat settles and you're like, okay, I can manage this. But I looked at my principal buy down and it was like $6,000. And then the interest was like 30 something
$60,000.
thousand.
Yep.
Like, just like over the past 6 months or something like that. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. But far too often, I think people look at just like the financial side of what, and when we were buying our house, I'm like, okay, there's multiple things that we can do to try and make this work. If that's what we want, a different lifestyle for our kids. So like, we have a renter again next door. We didn't necessarily want that, but that was like a sacrifice we were willing to do. So he's paying $1,500 a month. And so that just dropped our payment down from $5,600, we'll just say $5,500, down to $4,000 a month. And so I'm like, okay, $4,000 a month versus the $1,700 a month, like it's closing
more
the gap
doable.
in a lot.
And I think that's a big thing right there. You said you made the move, you bit it in the butt. It was hard, extra money, but you said we had to sacrifice and move a renter back into your studio apartment or
Yeah.
that other apartment you have on
Yeah.
your house. Not ideal. It's not the same as your other house. It was all yours, private. But I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You're going to have to sacrifice something.
Yeah.
See, and we
You
had
know.
to do
And you just
the
did that.
same thing, right?
Yeah.
We went from a $1,400 mortgage payment with a HELOC on top of that, but then we sold that. Now we're in a $3,800 mortgage payment, but we also are collecting $1,000 a month in rent. And so, really, after everything's said and done with the HELOC and the mortgage on the townhome that we remodeled, we're really paying super similar pricing on it monthly.
Yeah.
But now we get a bigger home, bigger bedrooms, nicer kitchen, whatever, and a backyard that my
Yeah.
kids can go out and run around in and play in rather than being stuck in that small townhome, right? So there's a lot of pros to it, I think. You do kind of eat that payment a little bit, but obviously you have to make that decision. Is
Right.
it worth it?
Yeah, and you just have to be quiet during super secret tickle time now. So,
Actually,
Yeah.
no.
anyways, let's get off of that.
Well, one thing, can I throw something
Yeah.
in? Because I think this conversation's helpful. Because when we went to Texas, was it Texas last year for the Tom Ferry conference?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
were in the process of buying that. And I think I was in the process of thinking
You were
about
exploring
moving.
your options a
And
little
I'm
bit,
like,
yeah.
you were telling me about what you're doing, and I'm like, dang, like if Cade's doing that, I can do that.
Peyton makes more money than me.
Well, no, I was just like, it's helpful when everybody's like, hey, here's my mortgage, like I
Yeah.
don't know, and then I'm like, the rental idea was a good idea. So you sparked inside of me, because you guys didn't have to move either. Your
No,
townhome
right.
was way nice.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I think people don't talk about is your townhome. You guys bought it for X. You're selling it for Y. You had a big like appreciation there that
Yeah.
you had done all the value add was done.
Right.
So you could not manually like increase or inflate the price of that townhome any further realistically.
Just the market. That's it.
Just the market. So
Yep.
you're stuck at like whatever the market does, 3 to 5% or whatever.
I want you to
Yep.
back up and explain. I like where this is going. When he said manually increase, so he's talking. They took a townhome that was smoked in and stuff,
Yep.
and they rehabbed it, gutted
Yeah.
it, changed walls, add value in an actual physical way.
Right.
And now at that point he capped, and the only thing that it was raising the price of his property was the slow inflation of the market,
Correct.
that
Yeah.
1 to 2% gain.
Yeah, realistically, because we did basically 100% remodel from top to bottom on that property, there really wasn't a whole lot you could do. I mean, maybe some things here and there you could come in and maybe make it a little bit nicer to add a little bit more equity, but you're not going to get the return on it.
What about you, Whitney? When you guys did your house, you said you did a HELOC. How much do you think of that equity was that big spike in 22, 21? And how much was it because you
Updated it.
updated it and rehabbed?
I don't know, a couple hundred.
What all did you do in your house? Because I think this is a
So-
good topic to talk
Yeah.
about, what you can do in these older homes to prep for
Yeah.
this pinch move.
Well, we rehabbed the floors, put in new carpet, finished the basement.
That's a big one. adding
Finished
square
basement
foot-
adds a
adding
ton.
square footage.
Yep. And yeah, that was like mostly it. Put a new paint, of course. You know,
You've done a lot of landscaping.
we have done a lot of landscaping.
that adds a lot.
There was a second driveway in our house where like our whole like yard in the front is now, and it's amazing. That's where my kids want to play, and so we're glad that we took that out. We put in a bunch of retention walls and
Curb appeal helps a lot.
yeah, and so we've done a lot of that. Put in, we paved our driveway, and that helped a lot because it was just rocks and gravel. And then we've painted the exterior, put on a shed, and
So you've
And you
done
think-
a
done a
lot.
lot of just like cosmetic
adds.
updates mostly, but like finishing the basement was probably the biggest add.
Yeah. And you think that the comp that you were pulling off of
Down the
is
street.
based off of with all those updates and everything
They
in
have
it?
so they didn't have many updates, but
Okay.
they have a lot of curb appeal. Like his yard was beyond pristine.
Okay,
and
cool.
it's funny to drive by now because you're like, oh, he would be crying
Oh,
if he
no.
saw his
Dang it.
land. But yeah, like the inside had a lot of like '90s lighting. You know, the
Okay.
big.
Yeah.
Square rectangle, yeah.
Yes, like overhead in the kitchen. So like it was their house was a bit more dated than ours, and I think it was maybe 1 or 2 years older than ours.
Okay.
That could be a step 2. 1, can we financially do it?
Mm-hmm.
2, is there any value add you can put into your house over the next couple of years, or if you're thinking
get
about
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Something quicker to get it.
And then I think one thing to look at if you're considering about moving, for me in our house, like we had like already painted the masterpiece. Like we took a house that was built in the 70s and completely updated everything on it. And I felt like, and I told you guys about this, I'm like, I feel like the house that I'm in now, like we've done everything to it. And now we're at the point where it's diminishing returns, where it's only going to go backwards. Because like the roof, the furnace, the AC, like those things just get older over time. Especially like we did black siding and paint and stuff, and like that needs to be updated and kept up. So I'm like, now this property, it's as good as it will get right now, and in 5 to 10 years, I'm gonna have to do these little maintenance things, and I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore.
You're fighting things getting older and needing maintenance, and the market increasing. So you're taking that difference.
I was feeling like we were on an acre. We wanted more ground because we wanted horses. It was 2,000 square feet. I'm like, more square footage would be nice. And this is already as nice as it's going to get without the market going up more in value. Like I will have more projects to do here, just trying to keep it in the condition it's at now. Right. So I was like, I want to sell because I want to go back to like a blank canvas where I can create and like, because that house, we paid $415 for it. Like, and it's probably worth
1.2
to 1.3 now is what we'll be selling it for. We put a ton into it, like three to 400,000 into it. But like that was a huge gain. And so I'm like, now I want to go from like, I kind of want to reset that and get into another house, except now be into it close to $1 million, but then have the upside that it could push into like the $2 million range, right? And that's what we did. We found a house that was I think we're like 4,300 square feet on 3 acres, but it didn't have a furnace. It needed all these updates. Like it needs a ton of work, but I'm like, I just reset the clock because now I can like over the next 5 years kind of work on that and build up some equity again and keep that ball rolling.
Carly, you hear this. Peyton's planning on selling your house in 5 to 6 years. Is what I hear.
She wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But that's what you did too. Like your townhome, you got it there and you're doing this right now, right? You bought a house.
Actually, I bought my house. I'm going to remodel it, and then in 5 to 6 years, I'm going to push it over because I like my lot.
Yeah, we don't understand Ben, so like.
I like my lot too.
So how do we take this and translate it to clients on these people that are on the fence, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
So one question I bring up a lot of times with this is it's like, okay, so you're wanting this to build this 1.5. All right. Do you need 1.5? Do you need to build for whatever that is to be at 1.5? Or is there some sort of middle ground somewhere
between your needs
that gets
and
your
wants?
payment down from a 4K jump to maybe a 2,500K jump that's still an upgrade from where you're at now that could get you a step closer where 5, 6, 10 years maybe down the road you make that 1.5 jump. You know what I mean? And so that's something I like to bring up with my clients is like, are we reaching for the stars that we don't need? Or is there some sort of middle ground where we can, make that 4K jump seem way more reasonable? It's still an upgrade. We're more comfortable. We still have some extra money to do X, Y, and Z. Yeah, exactly. So that would be a question I ask.
So maybe it's like, maybe you don't build right now, but you find a house, whatever the needs are, like with your house that don't match, maybe you find another house that's like a middle ground between like building new and where you're at, that you're like, okay, this is a 2-year jump. Because I have clients that like every 2 years are like in, out. Because the thing is, you live in there for 2 years. It's your primary residence. You get the $250,000 tax-free if you're single, or $500,000 capital gains tax-free if you're married. And so, like, every 2 years, they're flipping that. And, like, I have clients
and they're doing
that
that value add, right?
Yeah, they're doing the value add. So, like, that'd be another way. I like what you said. Like, just because the whole dream maybe doesn't make sense right now, maybe there's a middle ground dream that would make sense. And we do that a lot because we're in real estate.
Right.
But it's not too hard for another client to do that.
For sure.
If they wanted to.
And the nice thing is, like, with you, like, your specific situation, like, that piece of land, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, and I don't know what that whole situation is, maybe it is. But like if it's not going anywhere and it's not a rush, you don't have to purchase it in the next year or two. Maybe you sit on it, you let that sit and stay where it's at, especially if like that deal you can get off it isn't going to change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And maybe it is you buy some other home that's just a little bit larger of a home, or that's already built and you can get a little bit better of a deal on it. You can get a whole bunch of closing costs on an existing home that would buy that rate down to make that, you know, mortgage jump hopefully less.
Well, I think it'd be very easy for them. Maybe you don't finish the basement and you can cut off
that
like
too.
a couple $100,000 by doing that, or like not finishing part of it, or you finish it with like an accessory unit where you can rent that out. Because in the valley, you could probably get $1,500 to $2,000 a month out of like a little apartment, and then that cuts the $4K void down to $2,000 difference. You know,
Sure.
if you're getting that rental income, and then you're like, okay, is a $2,000 difference better for 3 acres, brand new house in the valley next to my parents, but that I don't have to. I just have to deal with a renter, right?
Yeah.
And mind you, we're just talking how making the jump from your low rate early on house, you know, you're not house broke. We're talking about how to make the jump into a new dream less painful. Sometimes you just rip the damn Band-Aid off and you get into it and figure it out, right? You know.
Well, and I think it's life. Like if I go back to my parents, I'm like, hey, what was your first mortgage payment when you guys got married? They'll be like, it was like $200.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, my parents' first house they bought was $14,000 up in Smithfield. And my dad was like, it should have been torn down, not just bulldozed over, but they fixed it up and then they flipped it and they did that over and over again. But like we go back, even if you look at like the houses I've owned. So like we had our first house was $933 a month was the mortgage payment. I remember it like it was yesterday. I'm like, that's a lot of money. $1,000. I'm like, I don't know if I can afford that. I was making $11 an hour then.
But how often, so for both of you guys now say that, how often on paper does it not work, right? The bills, the finances on paper, it just doesn't really seem to work out, but it works. Like you get into it all the time.
I
I
disagree
feel like
with
it's all the time.
Never. One of the biggest things I do with my clients is I think on paper it doesn't work. You're thinking people are overanalyzing and fluffing too hard, and it doesn't work.
Right.
Then they find out it works. One of the biggest things I do with a lot of my clients that are either investing, how can we afford to start these investments because it's hard to invest right now.
Yeah.
You know, you're net zero or even you're paying to play for a few years.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I can do when we talk about reality is you go through your actual finances, see how you're living right now, because that's the big thing. If we take our credit card bills and our fund and everything and put it on paper, I wouldn't be able to buy a car tomorrow, right? But if I go, okay, we're not going to go out to dinner because like I had a tickle in my belly 3 days a week, right? And you can really go through and find that money in your budget,
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's
So
exactly like
on paper, you still have to make it work,
right.
but
It has
your
to be
life has to
realistic.
change. Yeah.
But there's things you can do to make it work, and I think that once
But-
you're put in that situation, you just do it. You make
But
it work.
They're hard things. Like,
Right.
I mean, we're all 100% commission based for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
So like, I'm just like, I just have to work harder. That's
Yeah.
how I look at it. When we bought this first house, this was crazy. It was 2012, and I couldn't get a loan because I just got home from my mission. I didn't have that much money. I had like $7,000, and I told the sellers, I'm like, I'll give you $7,000 now. I need you to carry me on the note, and I can probably get you another $7,000 in like 6 months. And they're like, okay. And
Jeez, that's a deal.
yeah, it was wild. So I gave him $7,000. We closed, and then I'm like, this is crazy. It was a big house by Weber State, $933. But then I rented the upstairs out for $900, and I lived in the basement. Didn't have a kitchen. I was just cooking on this electric cooktop and I put in a shop sink, and I'm like, this is crazy. And that's kind of what got me hooked. But then if like every move kind of transferred. So like then we bought a fourplex, and our payment was like $2,400 a month, and it had some rental income there. So I'm like, okay, this is better. And then we bought a single family house, and our payment, it wasn't more than the fourplex. But anyways, it just kind of kept upgrading more and more and more. And every one was like a stretch for me. Mm-hmm. But I think the only way that you can really like make your dreams happen is if you like if you go out on the ledge, and I mean, you don't want to be stupid and do something that you're going to regret. But I think most people are too conservative for what their dreams, what they could actually be, because they don't want to go through the headache of trying to make it work.
I also think that it's a lot of like you need to know your personality.
Yeah.
Like same thing with like we drained every bank account for both properties.
Oh, yeah.
to get into them. Like we had
Living on the ramen
like
edge.
$500 to our name.
I'm
basically.
draining right now.
Like, yeah, like we drained every bank account to get into both of our properties, even with the equity that we sold out of our townhome.
Yeah.
It was but like I know my personality. I know I'm gonna work my butt off to make it work.
Yeah.
And so like I think you need to understand who you are as a person before you make a jump like that.
For sure.
Right. But
Yeah.
You
no.
guys have savings accounts? With money in them? Oh.
Yeah,
Second I get
there's
a little bit
of
in mine, I'm like, I got to do something.
There's-
Buy, build, sell.
So just recapping this, I think you got to look at your needs and your wants. Like, is it a need? Do you need to move? Are you good where you're at? Like, depending on where you're at and what those needs are, and the time frame of the life that you're looking at, like it does go down to like what lifestyle do you want to provide your family and your kids or wherever you're at for that time frame. I have some clients that I'm like, some people just put the money over everything else, and I'm like they're so worried about the money part, and I'm like, you are just squandering time, and we don't have that much time here, right? And so I think there's a delicate balance. And I think you guys have worked with people like that too, where it's just like, they're so worried about the deal. And it's like, on the amount of deals that we've passed, like you would have been further ahead, not getting a deal, buying a house 2 years ago,
Yeah. Yep.
and getting into the market.
you'd have made more money by it than just waiting to
Than
save
just
money.
waiting to try and find the perfect deal, right?
Right.
Because the perfect deal doesn't necessarily, like, it doesn't exist. None of my houses have been like, this is a home run. They're all like, oh boy, this is gonna be a rodeo. Like, let's see what we can make happen. And like where you're at, you might not, like, if I were to give you advice, I'd be like, don't remodel your house if you're gonna tear it down in a few years. But Ben doesn't care.
Yeah. Because he's see, Peyton's like, the money. And I'm going, yeah. But I don't want to share my toilet with the neighbors.
Right.
You know, it's I have to walk through my kitchen to go into my bathroom.
Yeah.
When I shower, I have to walk naked from my kitchen through my living room, past my open
But
windows.
you're doing a lifestyle build, right? It's not about the money necessarily, because you're probably going to tear it down and then just build on top of it again.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep, one day.
One thing I would recommend or say for any seller, buyer, like don't be afraid to talk to people, whether they're agents, lenders, whoever, buddies. Like people know and have good ideas to get creative, to make things like everything. I feel like most people feel like there's one way to do it.
Yeah.
And that's just not true. Like there's so many ways to get creative, to make it work, to make, that 4K jump be $2,500, $3,000. Realistically, that's coming out of your pocket every month. So don't be afraid to just start that conversation with whoever that is.
Yeah.
To start,
Well,
kicking around ideas.
the plan changes all the time.
Yeah.
Like I meet with people who are like, I want to build new, and then we dig into those numbers, and they're like, actually, let's buy something within a few years old. Like numbers make more sense or whatever, and we just like create the plan tailored for them that makes what they want work.
Do you know how many people I start with a building lot? We're looking at building lots.
Yeah.
Not to
And
scare
when
you.
when we end, they're either buying a 1 or 2 year old house, or they're like, you know what, we want a crack house.
Right.
We want a crack house, and we're gonna fix it up and make it our own. Blah blah blah. From I'm gonna buy a $500,000 lot and build $1 million house on it, type of thing.
Yeah.
Which is sadly very common with just for a basic house in the Wasatch Back right now.
Which is near impossible to do, to buy a lot and build. Like, I think once you start running through the scenarios, you just look at everything and then you're like, you figure out what makes most sense. And then let's talk about this. They have their house. They have, like Whitney, you've talked about this, about keeping your house as a rental. What are the pros and cons of that? Because that happens all the time. We've lived in here for a bunch of years. The rate, 2.5%. It's amazing. Let's use your case as an example. So 300,000 is what you bought it for, 2.5%. Your payment's like 1,700. You wouldn't get all your equity out unless we did like a HELOC or something like that, which you could do. But what do you think your house could rent for if you were to rent it? Do you have any idea?
I mean, we have like 3,500 square feet at our home, so it's like
Yeah.
it's a good sized home.
Yeah.
4 bedrooms, potentially 5. We're not completely done with the basement bedroom, but I don't know. I think that we could probably rent for at least
3.
yeah.
28 to 35.
That's what I was thinking.
Give or take.
No, I think you're more than that because our house, we're renting ours for 3,300 and it's 2,000 square feet just for the house. So I would say you're probably $4,000, maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay, here's where me and Peyton are going to fight you guys. You ready? Talk to me.
Put your gloves on.
Okay, so
Should we just say $4,000 to be conservative?
Yep.
Well, let's say 4,200, and then your payment's 1,700. So
$2,500
The-
difference.
$2,500 difference. Okay, so you keep your house. You have $2,500 difference coming in. One, we have to say, can you qualify for whatever you're trying to do without selling your house? If you can, we'll say great. You have $600,000 worth of equity there, and you can make $2,500 off of that equity. We'll say $500,000 to $600,000. What do we think?
that's shit.
All right,
so
Ben, lay it on
we
me.
were talking about if you took your equity, you bought your house, you're at 4K, right?
Yeah.
So now instead of being 4K, you're going to be, let's say, 1.3 million to build your house. You have to put a little bit of money down on a construction loan.
So do you want me to run those numbers?
Sure.
So 1.3 million, you're going to be like $6,900 a month, probably just interest and tax, or just principal and interest.
I'll bet you're more than that.
Yeah, you're
Because
more than
you're
that.
gonna
What are-
be
at
you're gonna
1.3,
be
what
almost
are you?
double.
And you're also going to hit a jumbo. You're going to
Well-
cross that threshold into a jumbo.
Let's
loan.
just say 500,000 because that's what their equity is. So if I do 500,000 at 6.8% interest, your payment on that on the 500,000 equity that she has is 3,300 a month for 500,000. So
You can't calculate it like that.
Okay,
though.
I'll-
you have
I'll
to do
do
the
it.
full 1.3
Yeah.
because if you do just the 500, it takes in.
But are you saying 1.3 because she's still going to put 200,000 down?
Well, let's say easy numbers. To build her $1.5 million house, she doesn't get to take her $600,000 equity. So do 1.5 million. How much is that a month? P&I, principal and interest.
Well, this is just going to be principal, is what he's running off of because he doesn't have.
no, it is
what in-
principal and
Yeah,
interest.
Oh, is
P&I.
it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
On a 30-year, you're going to be close to 768,
I bet you're going to be
6,900.
way higher than that.
97,
Yeah.
70.
97. So 97. So now you've added, because you've kept your money in your house and you have a great rental making you $2,500 a month profit, mind you.
Mine was right though. I could have just done a loan on 500,000 because it
Oh, I
was
guess
like
that's true.
3,500 a month, 3,300.
He just wanted to make sure you
Plus,
knew.
but your original loan was 4K with the 600.
No, 5 or
4K.
6K.
Oh, 5 or
Difference.
6, 4K
Yeah.
difference. I
Yeah.
see now.
Yeah. So you're easily adding on $3,500 a month, but you're only collecting $2,500 a month.
It puts
Bad
you
deal.
down 1,000 more.
So you're $1,000 more. And if you keep that house and you rent it out for over 3 years, you lose that exemption to be able to sell it tax free. So then that 600 grand that
Now it becomes close to 500 or 490.
you have to
grand.
pay capital gains tax on it when you sell it. If you sell it, so the only
take
way I
25%
recommend that
away.
is if you're going to keep that house 10 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
If you're selling it within 5 to 10 years, I think it'd be better off to sell it now.
I still don't think you're better off.
Well, right, yeah.
I think
but maybe
even
they
10
had
plus years.
maybe they had a bunch of extra cash. They didn't need the money from their house.
Or that bigger payment
Or that
doesn't
bigger
stress
payment.
them out. like-
it still doesn't make sense though.
Well, it
That
could.
that money
No,
money
Ben is very
I know, but it
it
could.
it can't.
In my opinion,
It doesn't. The math doesn't math. I promise. I've gone through this 1,000 times. Right.
So the only way it could is if their loan amount, if they had a very high loan amount at 2.5% interest, their loan amount's so small, like they're probably 2 something at this point at 2.5% interest. But let's say they had 500,000 at 2.5% interest, and they only had like 200,000 in equity.
Okay.
Maybe that What do you think?
Oh, yes. So if you have no equity in the house at all and you're just going, that's like saying if I didn't have anything, should I keep it or not? Like it doesn't work still, right? Like if it's worth, because if their payment's higher, the only way it
Their
works
payments are-
is if
yeah.
you have zero equity in the house, and you can get rents that cover at minimum your payment or a little more. It's the only way it works.
Yeah.
If you have over 100 G equity in your house, that equity is more valuable, especially right now with rates, than that payment from rent.
Ben just wants to sell your house and collect a commission.
That
So-
too. I'm just greedy. But even think about it like
So
this.
what would you do? So what would you do then? Like in that,
If that's what what
Yeah.
I wanted, if my plan was to get into
Curious.
the house, I wasn't a renter, I would take that 600 grand and put it toward my mortgage. that's the money, just money to money ratio. That's what makes more sense.
So-
or you take the 600 grand and you buy other like I said, it depends on what your lifestyle is.
So I did this one time. We were in South Ogden. We bought our Eden house. I put 20% down on our Eden house when I bought it. My rate was 2.9%. And then I had extra cost to do all the remodel to pay cash out of pocket. So I didn't sell my rental house that we probably had 150 grand equity in, because that payment, it was like under 3%. I don't know what the interest rate was on it.
Sure.
So that one I kept, and I missed out on all that tax-free gain because I'm like, I like the low interest payment I have here, but I think that was like one of the very few scenarios because I was still only at 2.99% when I bought my other house. When you're going from 2.5% to 7% or 6.5%, it's a lot harder to make all this work, and it's cheaper to pay the debt down than to keep it in your house, is what Ben's saying.
Right, but even on your small scenario, the only reason why it worked is because you could afford both.
Yeah.
Not
Right, and
that-
that's
not-
what I'm
so,
saying.
but if you do go straight math, it's never cheaper
Right.
unless you have zero equity or very little equity.
Yeah.
And your rents cover your mortgage.
Well, it was Kate, like Kate was saying, like we were stretching, like draining our accounts. Like we got to do the roof, we got to do the siding, we have to so I was like, I'd make some money and it'd go right into the house. And I'm like, I don't know, but that was like my backup plan. I'm like, worst case scenario, I can sell it and cash out if I need
Right.
to. So this has been helpful.
did we
Let's
answer any
let's
questions?
take your 600 grand and let's go to freaking Wendover and double it. We'll get
All
a
right,
billion
then.
and then we'll double it and then we'll double it again and then triple it.
I'll charge you interest on any of your winnings. How about that?
Yeah, sure. As
All
long
right.
as long as I get to use your money to get it.
Go for it.
As long as he's not
As long as
liable.
I'm fronting the
Let's
bill
let's
from the
HELOC
get-go.
it first. Don't just sell it. Let's HELOC it. That way you still have a house if I mess up.
So one thing I want to say here, if you have a house, you're like, this sounds good, we want to get into the next house, how do we do it? I go out and find the house I want to buy, I get it under contract, then I sell my house? Or how do I do it?
Yes.
Yes.
No. No. It honestly, so
Situational.
yes, like if you are needing the most out of your current property to get into whatever's next, no, you need to probably find a intermediary place to live, whether that's renting, whether that's moving back to my parents, friends, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Because you're going to need to sell your current house
Yeah.
first because you're going to need to leverage as much as you can to try and make as much money on that
And you're
property
going
as
to need to
possible.
take your time
Yes.
and not be rushed. So
Right.
what people try and do is they try and find the house. And that's what sparks a dream is they're like, oh my gosh, I found this house. I got to have it. It's everything we want. Checks all the boxes. Let's make this happen. It's like, okay, well, typical transaction, you're like 100 days from start to finish before your house is sold. This house is already 2 or 3 months ahead of you. If you go under contract with them, they're going to do a time clause. You could get kicked out. You're going to feel rushed on trying to get your house sold. It can happen.
And you lose a lot of leverage.
You lose so much leverage. I recently had, we did this, and I told my clients, I'm like, this is going to happen. But we put a house under contract before their house was sold. Luckily, we had their house on the market already. And we got a counterback from the seller, and they said, we'll work with you, but we want to do a time clause. If you won't do a time clause, then a time clause means they can take another offer and kick you out at any time. If you don't do the time clause, we want to control your list price. So every 2 weeks, you got to drop the price $5,000 until you get an offer on your house.
Wow.
And they were like, I'm like,
Yep. You lose leverage.
you lose leverage. So if you want to do it, if you want to maximize your sales price and what you can buy a house for, get your house at least under contract. You know what your numbers will be. Then we basically have a loaded gun. We can go make offers on other properties. Hey, their house is under contract. We've been past due diligence, appraisals almost back. Like, it looks a lot better. We're set to close this day.
Yep.
And you can still write offers, and then you can be aggressive with the sellers on the house that you're purchasing. You know what you're going to get here, what your proceeds will be. If you want to even better, get it closed and done, and then you're like a loaded gun ready to rock and roll on the next deal.
Having time in the market is power. As a seller, the more time and flexibility you have, way more powerful, right? If you're willing to work with someone, you can leverage harder. If you're a buyer, the quicker on that time is your power.
Yeah.
Sellers, the more you have, the better. The buyers, the quicker you are, the better. As far as leverage and finding what you want and getting those deals as well.
The one counter I will say, if you are looking to buy a new build,
Correct.
if you are looking to buy a new build, nobody's living in there, the seller is a builder,
Sometimes they'll work with you.
it'll work. Yeah, they're more than willing to work with you. When they put the home on a time clause, they don't typically they're not rushing you to get your house sold. They would rather have a contract on the home than to not.
Right now, because there's so many
Yes,
homes available.
correct.
But the counter I got was from a builder on that.
Was it really?
Yep.
See,
Yeah.
and every time I've done it that way, and it's been with a new build, they were more than happy to work with us. They did not pressure. Obviously, they were wanting us to get our home sold.
Yeah.
But there was never anything like, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to get the home sold.
But if you went to the builder and you're like, hey, we're cash, we can close you out in 2
For
weeks,
sure.
you could probably get an additional $5,000.
For sure.
Yeah.
You absolutely could negotiate.
Because this builder was like, my interest is like, I can't remember what it was, but that's why he came back.
He was time decaying.
Yes.
Was your builder a bigger builder? Or
I think that's the
builder.
That's the difference.
Well, these bigger box builders are, a lot of them are self-funded, and
Yep.
so they're more than willing to, like Cade said,
Yeah.
work with you time-wise to get a house sold. But that could very well change. The market picks
For
up.
sure. 100%,
And, you know,
So, and I think that's one of the best deals out there right now. Like, I met with some sellers recently. They had a house on the East Bench in Ogden. They were looking at building like custom. And I'm like, if you guys look just with one of these bigger builders, like, they have awesome sweet deals right
Yeah.
now. They have a lot of inventory, and their prices are so much cheaper than building custom because they built the plan a bunch of times. They get bulk pricing on the lots because they probably developed it. They get bulk pricing on their labor and their goods,
Materials.
and materials. And so the house that you would go build out on your own, if you were to build one of their plans custom, would probably be 20-30% more
at least.
at least.
Yep.
It's just that is probably one of
Yeah.
the best deals out there right now.
If you're
is working.
looking to lock in a deal, in my opinion, you
Well,
got to
that's what
either
you did.
find but you got to find like the perfect seller, or it's a new construction.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
right now, like you're getting, I've ran
Some of
across
us can't
multiple.
buy new homes, Cade.
Yeah.
You could buy. a
Mine's
new home.
mine's
Yeah.
1904, and I'm remodeling it for the 16th time.
No,
I
but-
see the scars of the other remodels every time I pull sheetrock off.
You're getting lower rates, you're getting good incentives that can make it way more affordable. I've seen some pretty crazy stuff that they're offering right now.
So the one other thing I want to mention too, in line with what you just said, when we talked about this a little bit before, and you're like, don't mention that, but I'm going to mention it.
We're mentioning it.
So when I bought my house just recently, my interest rate was 7.1%, and the lender I was working with was like, "Do you want to try and buy this down or like get a better rate?" I'm like, "No, rates are garbage right now. Let's not throw any additional money because if I were a betting man, I'd bet within 5 years I will have refinanced this rate.
Right. Then that would have been money lost.
That would have been money
Yeah.
lost.
Right.
Unless you did like a 2-1 buy down or something like that where you could get the money back if you were to refinance it, maybe that could make sense. But so when I got my rate, I'm just like, hey, this is pretty temporary. Right now, I feel like the housing market is like Bitcoin back when it was super quiet, like just bouncing around. like I feel like everybody wants to get in when it's super noisy and like, oh my gosh, rates just dropped to 5%.
For sure.
Let's go buy something. Let's sell our house. And then it gets busy. Right now, it's pretty dead. Like you go out in the streets, it's quiet. Like we don't run into other agents when we're showing houses. The open houses, it's like you have like 0 to 3 people, couples coming through. When in 2020 we had 20 groups coming through the houses.
Right.
So it's like it's quiet. You can get better deals now and refinance your rate later.
And a big thing to keep in mind there, it's going with business, everything. If you can do it in the hard times, it can only get better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you can do it now,
But I will say
it's only going to get easier.
that refinance later or the don't buy your rate down now like is such a personal financial situation for the buyer. Like
Just state the rate.
Yeah, buy the house, state the rate. I
Anyways.
agree. I think
I can't tell you
he's-
how many like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can afford to just save the money, right, and you can afford the higher rate, like obviously financially, like, that's a smarter decision. You're not wasting money. But if that puts you being house broke,
Yeah.
I can't tell you when rates are going to come down.
No, they
it
might
could be 2 years, 3 years, and nobody wants to be house broke.
Yeah.
And so if we can get you closing costs paid for by the seller, not coming out of your pocket, paid for by the seller to make your monthly payment more affordable, so that you can still live, do it. In my opinion,
I think
do
you
it.
run the numbers because sellers, that's lost money for them. So you could either take it off of your price. You're
Right.
just wrapping it in the loan, basically.
What's your opinion?
I'm just silently observing and taking in all the info, y'all. Like, I don't know. I think as I've been listening, I kind of want to sell my house now, but the market's so freaking saturated at the moment. Buyers have their opportunity to
Yeah.
pick.
For sure.
I'm sitting on a vacant townhome
Yeah.
because I same thing, that saturation. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wait until.
Are you?
Yeah.
See, I'm going to sell my black house,
So you
and
gonna
it's
rent
not
it
a
again?
great time to sell.
Yep.
I'm like, the valley's
What's that?
You
tough.
gonna rent it again?
Nope.
No, you're just gonna sit on it.
It's going to sit on
Ben's
it.
got more money than he
It
knows
will
what.
cost me
Yeah, I think it's
less. So my mortgage on that is $1,100 a month.
He's got
My
PTSD.
last renter cost me $13,000 to get it back. Flooring, paint.
Ben-
I'm gonna have to go tear out the basement carpet. Like,
You're like, I'll sit on it for
I basically
a year
did a
and
full
wash
remodel
that
on
out.
this thing, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm like, you know what? If I have to sit on it for 3, 4, 5 months, go over and just move and just, a house sitting's not good. So
Yeah.
I go over once a week and turn on all the faucets and
Just run some water.
just run some, I do things like that. But just like Whitney said, I'm in a different situation though, because I don't have to sell that to start my next chapter.
Right.
So, but that's that hard tangle we're talking about. Do I sell now? Because you can buy now in the lulls and stuff and the builds and stuff.
But she's trying to build. That's a problem.
Yeah, the build. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like you have all the tariffs and like it's just not an easy time to build right now.
No.
But your husband can pull off a lot of things. So like you have that
very handy.
You have that secret tool in your back pocket.
Yes.
So moral of the story is, marry somebody.
You can build for
Yeah,
you.
that can do stuff like that.
Yes.
Shaylee can't build with a shit. So I'm just saying.
Oh, well, I think this has been insightful. Hopefully, if I think this applies to so many people, so hopefully it's helpful. I don't know if we cover if we answered any
I
questions.
think the answer is it's 100% situational, and talk with somebody that's dealt with
Yeah.
Start the conversation.
every situation.
Just
Right.
start it.
but
Talk with
but we're
somebody.
all in the same boat. Like it bothers me a little bit when people are like, "Do you understand how expensive?" It's like, yeah, I know how expensive.
Yeah,
it
we
is.
live. We're
do.
we're
We've all,
neighbors.
Like-
we've all done it. We've all done it.
But
you
that's
know?
like, and I gave this example to some clients yesterday that I was meeting. It's kind of like people are like, it's so expensive to move right now. Why would you do it? And that's like being like, hey, I really like your tree that you have in your yard. Why don't you have a tree like mine? It's like, well, I didn't plant this tree 10 years ago. Like I have to plant it now. But I guarantee you, the people that are listening, and if you're wanting to get into the housing market, you will look back 5-10 years from now and be like, why didn't I buy a house in 2025? Like those
I did that.
prices were awesome. Like what the heck? I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done that. Like even if like 2008, if you could have stomached it then, like, and you still had that house now, you'd be like, that was a golden market. That was
Yep.
amazing.
Well, they've said like if you held on to the homes during that
Yeah.
until like 2010, you were
Yeah.
back on top.
If you can hang on to it and afford it,
Right.
and you can weather, like if you're like, we're probably going to have to move in 1 to 3 years. I don't know.
I think it's just risk tolerance.
Yeah.
Where you're at.
I mean, 2 years, you get that. You've lived there for 2 years, you get the primary exemption rule. I would probably look at what I was buying. If I was more short term, I'd be like, I'm going to buy something where I for sure can add value to it.
Yeah, if you can add the value, that might be an option. But if you're relying on the market to make you money, 2 years may not be enough.
That's our whole job. We're relying on the market to make us money, Cade.
I know. That's fair.
Oh,
I think we're just at this point we could go in circles for hours.
Yeah.
Circles for hours. It's 100% situational.
yeah.
Talk to your agents, talk to your lenders, talk to your builders, your husbands, your neighbors.
Yeah. And just start weighing out the pros and cons. Why do you want to move? And remember, you like time's ticking. You got one life, and you're writing the chapters in it.
Waste
so, like,
your money.
what do you want to look back on? Where do you want to have the memories?
Money.
Where you live is a big role.
Well, it's
You
where
know?
you
For
spend
some,
most of your time.
And for some people, it's
For
just
some-
the opposite.
Yeah.
I could live in a cracker box and I want to travel. And you
Yeah.
know what? I hate you because I'm a real estate agent, but I respect that.
No, I actually have I have a client right now. We're getting ready to list her house. She has a beautiful house in Syracuse, massive, and she's like, I just want a townhome because I want less expenses. I don't want to have to take care of a yard, and I just want to be able to travel, hang out, do what I want. And I'm like, that's perfect. So
Yeah,
like, it just
absolutely.
depends on the situation and the life where you're at. So
Perfect.
hopefully this has been helpful. Thanks for watching.
Thanks,
Till
guys.
next time.
Love you. Bye.